and fell into the torrent, where it was instantly swept away. "Do!" panted Luggins. "That was a close one, then. Are you all right with you, Owen, man?" Owen nodded. He was still getting his breath. They all gazed down, awestruck, at the tossing, racing water beneath. The flood had risen to within a few feet of the roots of their tree. "Never have I seen it come down so quick," Mogg said from his higher branch. "Regular cloudburst there must have been at Pennygaff. Owe all our lives to you we do, Owen, I reckon." "No matter for that," Owen said. "After all, you never have been here for offering to come with me. But for offering to come with me, I only hope the other three got safely home before the flood rose." "My goodness, yes," said Luggins. Whaffa was silent, gloomily surveying his scrapes and grazes. For 2 hours, the swollen river roared beneath them, and the rain beat down, stripping the last leaves from the tree where they sat uncomfortably perched. Then, by degrees, the sky cleared, and a watery sun shone out again. "Are we going to get down out of this horror's nest now our rope's gone? How are we going to get down out of this horror's nest now our rope's gone?" asked Luggins. Dove and Mogg instinctively looked at Owen for suggestions. Whaffa muttered, "Let's see what Mr. Genius Hughes has to offer." Owen considered. The flood beneath them was ebbing now, but still looked to be 7 or 8 feet deep. "Best we jump down while there's water underneath to break our fall," he said. "Otherwise it's going to be a long drop to the ground." "I can't swim," objected Luggins. "Do as sad. Hold on to me then, boy," said Mogg, who could. "I can't swim either," said Dove. All eyes turned to Whaffa, who sat biting his nails. He remained silent. "Best wait a bit longer then, maybe," Owen said doubtfully, though he was itching to get on. Not long after, though, a large, tangled mass of branches and wreckage came sliding along the flood. There were great boughs, whole young trees, and part of a wooden bridge all jammed together. "Quick, lads, now's our chance," cried Owen, as the mass drew near. "Jump in and hang on to anything that will hold you up." Mogg nodded to encourage Whaffa, who was looking mullish, gave him a sudden, vigorous push that knocked him head over heels into the water. Luggins did the same to Dove, and then valiantly plunged it himself. Owen, pausing only to pull the strap of his crossbow tighter and button his glasses into his jacket pocket, dived after them, and a splash nearby told him that Mogg had followed his example. Luggins and Dove managed to seize hold of the bridge, which easily supported them. Mogg swam down with the current and grabbed the branch of a young birch tree, but Owen, coming to the surface and looking round him, could see no sign of Whaffa. Then, behind him, he heard a kind of bubbling grunt, and turning, was just in time to see Whaffa's agonized face appear above water for an instant, then sink again. Owen immediately dived toward the spot where he had seen Whaffa vanish, searching as best he could among half-sunk wreckage, which was all being swept downstream. For a moment he thought he failed, and his heart sank in despair. Then his groping hand encountered a face. Feeling back over it, he seized hold of Whaffa's hair with a few powerful kicks, brought him to the surface. By great good fortune, a felled pine trunk was floating by. Owen was able to get one arm over it and instructed the choking waterlogged Whaffa to do likewise. "Are you all right?" he inquired. Whaffa nodded without speaking. "Hi-ho, boys, having a fine old joyride, then," called the irrepressible Luggins as they went tossing along between the rocky, tree-grown cliffs. "Join Owen Hughes and all the fun of the fair, is it? Swing boats first, then merry-go-round." "More likely the tunnel of death," muttered Whaffa. "Lucky if we're not all sucked underground." Owen, too, had been worrying, in case the Gaff River did another of its sudden plunges to subterranean regions, but luckily they had not been carried for more than a half-mile when the current swirled round a corner and deposited them, soaked, grazed, bruised, but otherwise unhurt, on a spit of land in the middle of the flood. They tottered weakly on the higher ground. "What's the good of this? It's an island. We're still marooned," Dove said disgustedly. "Not for long. Look how fast the water's going down now," Owen pointed out. "I reckon we'll be able to wade across in 15 minutes. "Bit of a dinner I could use," Mogg said. "Wonder if there's any blackberries on this island." He roamed off and began to explore. Presently they heard him shout, "Hey, boys, hey, come here! A drowned corpus there is on this island." They rushed to the bushes to the spot where Mogg stood pointing. The body of a man dressed in a tartan kilt and prune-colored velvet hunting jacket lay propped against a chestnut tree. Nearby was a musket, which had been just charged, and a smaller fowling pistol. A hunting knife had fallen from the dead man's hand. Not far off, to the boys' astonishment, they discovered no less than 3 wild boars, which the man had evidently killed. Got stuck on the island with them when the flood came, maybe, Dove said. There's brave he must have been. Pity he got drowned. Stupid. He's not drowned with him. Waffa pointed. Dry as jacket is. It was true. This part of the little knoll, which formed the island, had evidently been high enough to escape flooding. Then what killed him? Luggins wondered. Where are your eyes, boy? Nasty great wound he do have on his leg. Same place as Fullentine. But devil of a lot worse. One of the old pigs must have spiked him. Wait a minute, said Owen, who had been carefully examining the apparently lifeless body. I don't believe he is quite dead. See, his eyelid flickered just then. Seizing the man's hat which lay by him, he ran off to the river for water. While filling it, he observed that the hat was richly embroidered with gold thread. 3 white feathers on it were held in position by a clasp containing a diamond the size of a walnut. Some great lord, Owen thought, vaguely returning with the water, which he sprinkled carefully over the man's forehead. Meanwhile, Luggins rubbed his hands, while Dove and Waffa collected dry wood and kindled a fire. Food'll be wanting if he's alive, Mogg said, and began gathering up the chestnuts, which lay plentifully strewn in the grass under the tree. Waffa discovered a knapsack and brought it wide-eyed. Look at this, will you? A crown embroidered on it there is, and a bottle of wine inside. Good thing to give him some of that, eh, Owen boy? It was the first time he had spoken to Owen directly, without a sneering or hostile note in his voice. Oh, that's capital, Owen said, taking the flask with a smile of thanks. Can you hold his head, Waffa, while I trickle some into his mouth? But at this moment the hurt man made a faint movement and opened his eyes, looking up in bewilderment at the ring of faces above him. Heh, sirs, what's all this clam jam fry then? He asked weakly. And that's the end of Chapter 7.